So I'm Vivek from the Creator Marketing team. So in the morning sessions, we saw how to create a form, how to add data to a form, then view the data as report. Then we saw how to create relationships between two forms. So I assume all of you have done that. Have you? So because we'll be continuing with the same app. Now, before we move ahead with reporting, I want to make sure everybody is in the old UI. That is the old live mode. So, is everybody on this screen? A few of them will be seeing this screen. That is the newer version. That is the new UI. So, if you are in this version, please switch back to the old UI. Because between the old and new UI, we have a lot of label placement changes. So you might not be able to see where I'm going and which direction I'm leading to. So that's why we are missing out on a few steps. So yeah, I'll tell. Now, on the top right corner, you can see the account name. Get in there, and the second option will be switch to old version. So, click on it. It's going to take us to the older version. Okay, a few of them will be on a different theme in the new UI. So, let's say if you're on some other theme, then you will see in the new UI, you'll see your profile name on the left bottom corner. So you have to click there and get to this old UI. I'll have some of the flow staff to help you out. Vijay, can you check if all of them are in the new UI? Sorry, in the old UI. Okay. So I changed theme. So most of you would be in this UI, that is a new UI. I get to the profile name. I switch to the old version. So I believe all of us are on the same page here. So, shall we get started? Yes. As I said, in the morning sessions, we saw how to add data to a form. Now, yes, let's wait for her to complete. So shall we? Yes. Okay. So in the morning sessions, we saw how to add data to a form. So where does all this data reside? We have to view this data, right? So that data can be viewed in the form of a report. So let's get into the application. In the morning session, we created this visitor sign-in form. For this form, there was a report that is a visitor sign-in report that is generated by default. So for every form that you create in Zoho Creator, it automatically creates a report. This is where we are going to view the data. Again, when we got into the employee listing section, we have this employee details form and the corresponding employee listing report. So this is the structure of the application that we had in the morning session. Yes. So in this exercise, we have 4 tasks. We'll be creating different types of reports, including a graphical representation. We'll be seeing how to create a bar chart. Then, finally, we'll be seeing how to create a customized view of each and every record in a report. So, what's going to be the task 1? It's going to be, I'm going to create a list report. So, basically, in Zoho Creator, we have 5 different types of reports that you can create. They are list, summary, grid, spreadsheet, and the charts. So, first, we'll be seeing a list report. List report is nothing but this report. This is a list report where it lists all the records. Each one that I see here, I call it as a record. This is a record. This is a record. So list report is going to list all the records. But in the first task, what we are going to see is we are going to list all the visitors who have come to visit the sales personnel in the company. That is, here you can see all the employees. So a few of the employees have the title as sales. So I'm going to list all the visitors who have come to meet the employees, who have come to meet the sales personnel in the company. So right now it's listing all the visitors. So what I do is, to do this task, I get to the development mode. So I want you all to do it along with me, because each and every task that we are going to do has 4 to 5 steps. So I don't want to miss out anybody missing out on these sessions. So let's do it all together. So at the end of creating this report, list report, we'll see something like this, where we can see all the people who have come to visit the sales personnel. So when you see here, the employees are going to be mapped against the title. So all the employees are the sales employees. And you can see the visitor names here. So this is what we are going to achieve at the end of this task. So let's get started. So I want you all to get into the dashboard of the application. Click on this dashboard icon. Create new report. So let's name the report as visitors to sales. Visitors to the sales personnel of my company. So the report type will be, as I said earlier, these are the certain report types that we have: list, calendar, summary, grid, or even we can make something like a pivot table. If you're an avid spreadsheet user, you would have created a lot of pivot table. That's a powerful tool. So we can create a pivot table here. The first thing we'll be going is with the list report. The report will be based on which form. It's going to be the visitor sign-in form. And I'll place this report under the visitor sign-in section. So what is the criteria based on which we are going to create this list report? It's going to be it's going to be the visitors who have come to meet the sales personnel. So I'm going to set the criteria as title. Title I refer to is the designation of the employee. Contains, I type it as sales. So this is the simple criteria that I'm going to define. So I want you all to do this, then we'll move to the next step. So let me summarize what I've done. I've gone to create a new report. So we'll be getting this screen where we enter the report name, the report type, and the report will be based on which form. It will be the visitor sign-in form. So you got it? Like what we had done? Okay, let's proceed to the next step. I click on create and customize. So this is going to take us to the column properties tab. So we can see all the fields that we have in the visitors form listed here. In the visitors form, we have the name, email, phone number field. So do I have to display all these fields in my report? Let's say, if it's a sales, if it's a sales report that we are going to create now, so do I have to have this, I agree to the terms and conditions, or whom do you want to visit fields here? No. So what I can do is, I get to the report and I press on this icon. I agree to the terms and conditions field will not be displayed in the report. So let's say I want to share this application with the sales head of the company to see the visitors for sales department. That person need not know the reason for visit. So I can very well choose to take it off. Those fields will not be displayed in the report, the final report. Yes. Yes. Now, we can see a select related form here. Since we have related two forms, that is the visitor form and the employee form, we can look up values from the employee form. That is, the employee form will be the related form. From this form, so this is going to list all the fields that are available in the employee form. Now, I'll drag and drop a title field below this field. Yes, it's done. So, I'll give you some time. I want you all to finish until what we have done.
So how's this going? If anyone needs any help, raise a hand, and we have people wandering around the room that can help you out. Reporting is super important in Creator, so a hand over here.
Got it? Good. So the title that we see here will be from the employee details form. It's going to look up that value from the employee form and show it in this report. I can also choose to switch between the field display. Like, let's say I want to have this field at the top, so I just put it here, drag and drop. That's it, it's done. So all the fields will be displayed in this order when we access the report.
Is everybody good with this? Are we ready to move on to the next step? Show of hands, we're good?
Yeah,
Few hands, okay.
cool. So let's get into the next step. I click on the next button. So typically, take for example any report. You'll have options to either group your data or sort your data. Let's say the sales manager wants to see all the see all the visitors who have come to visit the company recently. So what I can do is I can do a sorting to list all the visitors in the descending order. So what I'm going to do is, so this is the date of visit field. I drag and drop it into the sorting area. Now, when we see here, this icon shows that the date will be shown in the ascending order, that is from A to Z. Now, let's say I want to see the latest visitors. I change it to the descending order. I just click on it, it changes to the descending order. So
does everybody see that? Are we good? I mean, need some help, questions, hand raising, anything to signal the need for assistance? Was that a signal? That is a signal.
yes.
Good. See, there's a second one.
No, even after creating the report, you can get back to the builder and you can change the stuff. Yes. Yeah. I click on next. So filters are nothing but a set of criteria that we are going to define to display only specific entries in a report. So this filter will be available to the user in the live environment. That is, while the user is accessing the application, let's say he wants to filter visitors by the employee name. Let's say John is an employee, so I have to see all the visitors who have come to meet John. So I can choose to have a filter in the live environment where there will be a drop down and I can choose the respective employee. So to do that, I enable the whom do you want to visit. I just click that button, that field gets enabled and it will be displayed in the live environment.
So is there any questions about this? Are we moving at a good pace here? Do you want some time to try to do these things? Is there stuff that we need to repeat? Anything you can yell out that's totally acceptable in this moment, but not others?
So let me summarize what I've done in filters. Yeah. I've enabled the whom do you want to visit field as a filter. So this field will be displayed in the live environment of the report. I'll show you when we get there. Now, I click on finish. So we have created a report. First, we saw how to add certain fields to the report. Then we saw how to group or sort data. Then the final step was we saw how to add filters. Now, I'm going to access the application in the live environment. Yes. We can see that all the visitor list who have come to meet the sales employees in my company. Now, let me show you. The network is a bit slow. Okay. So when we look up for the information here, in the whom do you want to visit field, Maria Walker or it may be Peter Lynch, everybody will be an employee from the sales department in the company. So these are all the visitors who have come to meet the sales employees. And my God, Christ. Yeah. Now you can see whom do you want to visit? The title of the person. It's all the sales employees. So everybody got my point? What we have done is we have created a report to list all the visitors who have come to meet the sales employees in my organization. So this is a very specific report where we have defined certain criteria and filters. So remember, we defined a criteria, we defined a filter. You can see all the employee list here because we defined the filter as whom do you want to visit, that field to be displayed as a filter in the live environment. Let's say the user wants to filter, let's say it's Peter Lynch. So you can see all the visitors who have come to meet Peter Lynch. Yes?
Can we make the filter so it only shows employees with sales in their title? Because that way you have to employees, it would only be employees relevant to this table.
Yes, that's what we saw in the column properties. You hide other fields.
Okay.
So whatever you drag and drop in the column properties into that builder area, which we saw earlier in the development mode. So only that will be visible in the live environment. Or you can choose to hide it from here also. Like you get into this tab.
Right, that's not what I meant. I meant on the filter itself.
Okay.
When you click on the drop down for the filter, it shows everything.
Yes.
Not just the sales.
Yes.
Make that drop down.
Yes. Even that's possible. So that's achievable through the custom filter. That's quite an advanced concept. Yes. So now I remove this filter. So this is the first report that we have created. I want you all to complete this so that we can move to the next section. Oops.
Okay, so technical difficulties have shown themselves. This is something that happens occasionally. Usually it happens more often at hotels when we have to do these on the road. Usually our stuff's pretty stable. But as you can see, sometimes crises happen. So just bear with us. A good thing to do, actually, if you're not using your phone, I mean, you're obviously focused on this, just turn off the Wi-Fi, because that's one of the issues sometimes is that we get, 300, 400, I mean, remember, it's all the devices in this room and then all the devices in that room, all the normal devices that are running on this network. So if you're not needing Wi-Fi on your phone, on your tablet, just power down, and that should help a little bit. I mean, we'll see. I'm definitely not any kind of networking specialist. Are you?
Not me.
Not me either, yeah. Anybody in the room actually? Someone might be. Maybe not. All right. So just bear with us 1 second.
Yeah, that's what I said. So we have to create a custom filter. Instead of creating an auto filter, we just enable the filter with the click of a button. That's something we call as auto filters in Zoho Creator. So we create auto filters for certain types of fields. Like, let's say if your field is a drop down or a lookup or a multi-select or a radio button. So what Zoho Creator does is it automatically detects the field type and creates an auto filter. So let me take you to that first.
Yeah, I mean, the
Okay.
whole idea here is that we're creating a segment within our already segment. So we have a bunch of employees, and now we need to segment the sales team that are in that employee area.
So what you see here, this is the auto filters tab. So when we see here reason for visit, date of visit is a date and time field. Reason for visit, again, it's a drop-down field. So what it does is it creates auto filters. But yes, yes. So what you're trying to say is you want to see only the 7 employees listed. Yes. So for that, we'll create a custom filter. We have an option to create a custom filter where you create the criteria. So I didn't get into this because we wanted to touch upon some of the basic stuff, because when we get into this, people might get lost. So I think you're a pretty advanced user. You should be in the other track. Sure. Yes. So have you all got your Wi-Fi done? No? Okay. Oops. Yes. Okay. So we have created one report, that is visitors to sales. Now, let's get back to the slides. The task 2 will be, we'll see how to create a calendar report to view the visitors who have visited the company this month. So let it be any time-based action. It'll be easy for us to view the data in a calendar format. That's what we want to see. We want to see a calendar displayed, and in the calendar you see against each and every date you see an employee or a visit. So that's what it looks like. So this is the report that we'll be seeing, that we'll be creating. So you can see visited this month, and under each date you can see the visitors. So let's get started to do this. Now, I get back to the development environment. I want all of you to do this. I'm not sure if the Wi-Fi is working or not. It's working. Yes. So create new report. Again, we follow the same step that we followed to create a list report. So the report name will be visitors this month. And I choose the report type to be a calendar report this time. Okay. The report will be based on the visitor sign-in form. The same steps that we did earlier. Now, we have to configure the calendar. So, the start date drop-down will list all the fields that are available in the form, that is the visitor form. We can see the date, that is the date in which the visitor has visited. So, I choose the date field as the start date. Again, the end date will be the date field. Now, which value am I going to display in the calendar? That will be the visitor name. So I choose the display field to be the name field.
Does this make sense to everybody? Is there any questions about this?
Yes.
What we've just seen?
No, that's not possible.
Is there a way that you could write a script that would allow for more?
Yeah, that's possible,
Yes.
but we don't generally recommend to do that.
We what?
I mean, basically, you can do that using something called formula field. There is a field called formula where you can append 2 or 3 fields together and show that inside the calendar. But ideally, we don't recommend that because you have like just a probably like a small space like this, right? So I don't think it's going to fit in a lot of fields inside like one single cell, right? So that's a problem.
Yeah, so just to recap, it's more of a scalability issue when you're looking at your calendar, right? Yeah. Okay.
So again, we'll be setting the criteria to display the visitors this month. So I choose the selected records. And we can see all the fields listed here. I choose the date field in the visitors form. If the date is this month, then show me all the visitor information. So we have set the criteria. Now I click on create and customize. So for every report that we create, we'll go through these 4 steps. First, you'll create a report to see based on which form you're going to create. The second step will be to include and hide respective fields. The third step will be to group and sort data. And the fourth step will be to add an auto filter or a custom filter. So right now we are in the second step. Let's say I'd like to remove these fields. I don't want the reason of display. Now, again, I click on next. I can choose to have filters for this report as well. Now, I click on finish. So, in this summary tab, we can see the display name of the report. I can choose to change it by clicking on the small pencil icon here. Or I can choose to change the link name. And we can see the display type of the report. We can see everything that we customized in this summary page. So even I can choose to go here and change the criteria. Now, let's access this calendar report. Yes. So here we can see all the visitors who have come to visit this month, that is April 2016. So this is pretty much similar to what we saw here. So we have seen how to create a calendar report with specific criteria.
So how are we feeling about this? Is this pretty cool? Is this helpful? Is this a good thing to see? Is there like another kind of example that you'd like to maybe go over? Or any other kind of filtering or anything? I mean, does everybody understand the concept of setting these up? Is that you're basically telling Creator that you want to look at from this state, basically, and then to this state? That's the types of criteria that you're kind of overall setting up, and then you can pick the actual criteria for the report that you want. I mean, everybody's clear on this kind of general concept? People can understand how they might apply that elsewhere? The grouping and sorting?
Okay. Let's take for this example. She wants to know how grouping and sorting works, right? Yeah. So let's say we have the title here, and I want to group all the visitors who have come to visit a sales associate. For this, in this report, let's say we have so many sales associates here. So I want to group all the visitors by sales associate. What I do is, I get to this title field, there is an option to group data. I group them in the ascending order. So what you can see is the data is grouped. So I can see all the visitors who have come to meet the sales associate. This is something called as grouping, where you group all the records that are similar based on a specific field value. So I have set this field value as sales associate. You can also group it through something else. Let's say in an inventory form, you have something called as a specific product. So you can group all the customers who have come to purchase that particular product. So you can think of different use cases for grouping. Sorting is, so let's apply sorting in the same report. Now, what I do is, I go to the date field, I sort visitors, let's say on a descending type. So what this will do is, we can see here the visitors from 19, 11, 10, 22 Feb, 20 Feb. So all the visitors are sorted in the descending order. That's what we saw when we created the form also. There is an option to either sort data in the development mode, or you can also sort data in the live environment. Yes, we can export this report. Yeah, we can export it into multiple report formats. So I'll be showing you that. Yeah.
So is that a good explanation of grouping and sorting? Are you guys satisfied with that? All right, cool.
Yes.
We are using Creator to develop our input forms, and then we have on the reporting side, we can pull that information. Okay. And we also purchased reports, Zoho reports. So can Creator, the information that we pull in Creator, can it speak to reports?
Yes, that's possible. Actually, whatever you see here, all the reports that you see, all the customization that you see here is powered by Zoho reports.
Without having
In the sense, you don't have to purchase a separate reports license and a separate Zoho Creator license to map both of these. You can have all your information within the Creator application itself. Like you can access the reports, or you can either create a form.
And without having to import export, because that's the steps.
Yeah, we have an import export option here too. That's what I want. So here, after creating, so we have made a lot of customization here. That is, we have grouped data based on a specific field value, that is the sales associate, and we have also sorted data like on a descending date. Now, let's say I want to save this report. When I go over here, I can see the Save Changes button. I click on it. I can save the changes to the same view. You can see all the list of changes that I've done. Title in the ascending order, date in the descending order. So I can save these changes and create a new view out of it, or within the same report, I can save the changes. Now I click on Save. So we have created this. This is how it works. Now let's get back to the slides. So I hope all of you are done with the first two reports. If you need any help, you can get it from some of our floor members. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
To repeat the question, is there a way to format the actual calendar itself? Like, can you change the color of the calendar? Like, few fields will be in yellow, few fields will be in red or something, right? So that is possible. To answer that, that is possible. That is called conditional formatting. That's available under reports. He can showcase on that as well. And the second question is about whether I can increase the size of the display text, right? Right now it's like, you'll get like around 10 to 15 characters on your machine. It typically depends on the size of your system, right? If it is going to be, if you're going to use like big monitors, you can have like any number of characters inside it. It depends on the monitor size, it will adjust automatically. Does that answer the question?
So to summarize on what Saran said, like you can set up a conditional formatting, like you can color code your data, like you can have different colors for each and every data, and that will be displayed in this calendar report. So let's push a bit fast because we are running out of time now. Let's get into the next task. We'll be seeing, so far we have been seeing how to create a list report, calendar report. All that is gonna, again, when you see something visually, a graphical representation, it's easy for us to analyze and get into better decisions. So what we are going to see now is, we are going to see how to create a bar graph, and that's going to display the count of visitors every month. Now, let's get back to the product. And the same steps that I'm going to follow, I get to the development mode. Get on to create new report again. So the report will be, let's say it's count of visitors. And this time, the report type will be pivot chart. And the report will be based on the visitor sign-in form. I click on create. So this is the report builder area. So in the past, in the last two reports that we saw, we went through a different process. But here, since we are going to create a graph, it's going to show a builder area, something like how you create a pivot table where you have an x-axis, y-axis, data, colors, all these stuffs here. So what we can do is, first, what I'm going to have in the x-axis, it's going to be the date. Each and every month I'm going to have it as a separate bar. So I drag and drop a date field from here to the x-axis. This view that we see here, it's going to list all the fields that are available in the visitors form. Now, and I see a small drop down here. Yes, so this is the drop down. Now when I click on this drop down, I can see a few values that has to be displayed as an attribute in the x-axis. So let's say I want to display the month and the year. I choose this. That's it, we are done. I click to generate the graph. So we can see that a line graph has been created for the count of visitors. I can choose to have different chart types like a pie chart, a line chart, bar graph. Let's say I want to have a bar graph. So this is going to display, this is how it's going to look in the live environment. I can also choose to set filters like how we have seen in the other types of reports. We can set filters. This filter, you can compare it to a criteria in other reports. Let's say in a list report, we created the criteria as the title equals sales, right? So that can be compared to a filter here. You can just drag and drop any of the fields that you want into the filter area and define the filter. This will not be available to the user in the live environment. That is, the user cannot make any changes to this filter. Whereas, when you get into the custom filter, this you can compare it to a traditional filter that we have in a list or in the other reports. So, where we saw all the employees listed in the drop-down, so you can choose the specific employee to filter data. So that is something like a user filter where the user can go ahead and make the changes. So now let's save this graph and access it in the live environment. Yeah, so this is how it looks. We can see all the use. Across different months, let's say in Jan, you can see the count of visitors, and when I click on this bar, I can view the underlying data. Yeah, you can see all the visitor list. Yes. Again, here I can also sort data, and I can choose to export this view. See, for every report, we have this. Some of you were asking me how to export the data that we have in a report. See, you can export the report in different report formats. All you need to do is choose the report format and export. It gets downloaded to your local system. I hope all of you have completed until task 3. If you want some time, we can create a customized view of each and every record that we have in a report. As I said, each record is something, each and every data. You can create a customized view of each and every data that you have in a report. So let's take a few examples. So you can create invoices using this record summary. Like you can create a custom invoice and drag and drop fields. Then these fields will be based on the data that you have in the report. So you can create something like this, an invoice, and use this invoice template to send to each of your customers. Let's say each of your customers is going to place an order, and you need to send an invoice as an invoice template. So what you can do is, with record summary, you create a custom invoice, and you attach it in the email notifications. This will be covered in the next session, how to set up an email notification. That will be done by Anish. So you can either send a plain email message, or you can also choose to attach the record summary that you have defined.
Okay, actually, so
the example that we had in mind was to create an ID card for each of the visitor who visits the company. So if anybody is interested to know how to do it, you can get in touch with me. I can come to your place and I can explain it to you.
right. And so you can see that this would be something that would make a lot of sense in the visitor management app. You're taking that data, you're immediately formatting it, putting it into a sticker or an ID card, and then you'd be able to print it out on submit, right? So it'd be pretty cool, all right? So yes, again, big hand for Vivek.